Hello, Verida, and welcome to another episode of Life Inside Verida. We have some very special guests with us here today, and we're going to introduce them in just a minute. But first of all, just want to encourage everyone out there to continue to watch our podcast. You'll be seeing more podcasts over the rest of the course of the year, and we encourage you to watch, listen, and look out for some special information that may be in some of our podcasts as well. Now, without further ado, we're going to be talking to a special group today, our finance department. And finance, of course, is extremely important to the company, as I'm sure you all know. We're going to get into some in-depth discussions about finance, what they do, some of the things that may affect you as well. So just hold on tight and watch and listen. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to introduce our panel today, our special guests, and we're going to start right over here.
All right. Thank you, Keith. I'm Gary Kennard. I'm the Chief Financial Officer here with Verida. I've been with the company for about 15 years and enjoy it very much. Lakeisha.
All right. Hello, Verida. My name is Lakeisha Hall, and I am the claims manager. I have been with Verida for 21 years and have been enjoying it every step of the way.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Walker-Jones. I am the Vice President of Finance, and I've been with the company for 14 years.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Pope. I'm Vice President and Controller here at Verida, and I've been with the company for almost 7 years now.
Fantastic. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to jump into a few questions. Hopefully, these questions will help you and educate you a little bit more about what finance does. Our first question is, well, what does finance do? For all of our employees out there who know that we get a paycheck, which is very important, but what does finance do? Can someone sort of share in a nutshell?
Absolutely, Keith. I ask that question every day. What does finance do? No, just kidding. Finance is a very critical service here in the organization. We ensure that there's proper funding for operations to continue their service, to thrive, and meet our obligations and our mission. We're made up of several facets as a part of finance. Some of the obvious that you said, are checks. It includes accounting and payroll, which are the most obvious, but also the claims and administration follows up under the finance division, as well as financial planning and analysis, and which includes actuarial services. We also support Verida through program integrity, which includes auditing and fraud, waste, and abuse. And that sort of sums up a lot of what we do here in the finance department.
Wow. Well, thank you, Gary. Yeah, there is certainly a lot involved in finance. I'm sure even as we go into depth, maybe into some of the departments, we'll find out even more about what they do and why it's so important to a company like ours in the industry that we're in. But my next question would be, let's talk a little bit more in detail, maybe about each department and what that department's role is. I know you've shared just a little bit about, these particular departments, but maybe let's talk about each one of them in a little bit more detail. What do they do?
Okay, Lakeisha.
Right, so the claims department. We are the department that process all the claims for Verida. All the claims for all the 8 states that we have a contract with, those claims come directly to the claims department. In the claims department, we have an entry-level position, which is the claims specialist 1, and they are production-driven with also an accountability to their quality of claims that they process. We also have claims specialist 2s. They are responsible for a portion of the productivity of the department, as well as quality, peer-to-peer motivation, and auditing those claims and kind of working with the individual staff on a one-on-one level to ensure that we can increase the quality on their claim processing. We also have the claim account reps. Claim account reps are responsible for the phone calls that come in from the providers. They also process our resubs and making sure that providers have good education, coaching, and targeted training when it comes to the policies and processes that we have within the claims department. We have the claims trainer who's responsible for providing the training at an entry level, and she trains the specialists. We also have the claim analysis group, and that's a very different group, as they are kind of out on their own, but they report directly to claims. They are responsible for working with the individual departments within Verida, and that includes call center, compliance, the dispatch, just to kind of get to the issues with the claims inquiries that we receive from the providers. A lot of time providers just say, oh, it's a claim issue. But sometimes when we dig a little deeper, it can goes back to a different department. We also have the claim administrator. Claim administrator is responsible for the training material that we have. She's also responsible for the policies and procedures that we have, making sure that we stay up to date with our policies and procedures, correlating with the clients, and she's responsible for the audits. And then you have the claims manager.
Wow. Okay. I think that's a wrap. No, that was a mouthful, Lakeisha. I mean, claims has a lot going on in terms of departments, roles, and their engagement internally as well as externally. Now, when we talk about claims, of course, and I heard you mention providers, these claims are things that the provider sent in so that basically they can get paid for the trips that they do, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the claims are the claims that the provider sent in, but the claim initially starts with the call center.
Mm-hmm.
The claim starts with the call center. The moment that call center agents take that call, that claim starts. And the information that we process against when the claims are submitted within the claims department, it stems from the call center, as well as compliance, because we have to make sure the vehicles and the drivers are compliant within our contractual guidelines. So it starts with the call center.
So call center, you guys are on the front lines. Of course, they get the information, and I assume it's important on that end for that information to be accurate as well, because it starts there and then it filters its way actually to the claims department.
It is. It is very important that that information is accurate. We have a separation of duties within our department, so it's certain things that we cannot do, but we do see certain things, and because it is a partnership with our providers as well as our clients, as well as internally, we try to work with the different department heads so we can get those issues that we do see that are happening internally kind of corrected pretty quickly.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Now, I have another question. Because there are multiple departments within finance, how do you all communicate so that really nothing slips through the cracks when it comes to all of these different types of financial transactions? We've got claims, we've got paychecks, we've got, I'm sure, bills to pay for utilities, all sorts of things going on. How do you all keep all that together?
So from the claims perspective, after they've closed and reconciled, they send a report and communicate with the AP team who processes provider payments. They also provide information for the department heads and operations so that they're aware of, what's going out to that group of providers every week. So after they complete that process and send it over to AP processes or does a little bit more of a reconciliation for the payments. And then they send the payments over to a separate group to review the payments before they are released by Gary or myself. Yeah. So and we're processing payments for a few different groups. We're processing payments for providers. We're processing payments for our general vendors, operating expenses. And then we're processing payroll payments. So we have payments going out to several different groups.
Yeah. So it just seems like there again, in finance, in this particular area, it's important to have checks and balances.
Yes.
Because once it starts getting to where you're paying individuals, vendors, et cetera, things have to be checked. And I can hear, as you say, things have to go through several groups and a number of eyes to ensure that everything's accurate.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. That's fantastic. Now, let's also talk maybe even just a little bit more about claims because it's an interesting department, and I'd really like to know about, I've heard you talk about claims when they come in. Now, if claims don't come in correct, I assume they're denied, and maybe kind of tell me about that process when something doesn't work right in terms of a claim.
Yes, so we have different things that we look for within the claim, and we have different things that we have to make sure that we are processing good, clean, quality claims. So when those claims come in, and it's on the provider side where it's an error being made, we understand that we are humans and we make mistakes. Those claims are processed into a denied status. Denied status claims, it kind of generates the denial, but it does not prevent the provider from not being able to correct the information and resubmit it for payment.
Okay. That's great. That's fantastic. Now, let's talk about a little bit more in terms of claims. How does claims impact the company overall in terms of what you do? I know for a fact, of course, as you said, it affects providers, but who else does a claim impact in making sure that you get it right, going through the process, et cetera?
It affects our providers as well as the industry that we operate in. Internally, it affects because if we drive a high denial, then we increase the possibility of the providers, going out of business, and we definitely do not need that. It also impacts our clients because it is a partnership. It's a partnership with the providers as well as with the clients. So we all work together to try to make that partnership a strong one.
Fantastic. Now, let's jump down and talk about AP, because we just talked accounts payable and some of the things that happen there. So maybe tell us a little bit more about accounts payable and maybe how it works with the various departments and why AP is so important to the company, I guess, and the industry.
Okay, so I think it's kind of a two-part piece to it. So the provider side is, again, once claims sends over the reports, AP has a very short window to process payments and have them reviewed, and then for Gary and I to review real quick to release the payments. So if they don't process timely, then the providers don't get paid, which affects the business and the members being transported. So they have a tight window to get a lot of payments processed every week.
Well, and let me ask you this, because you do have such a tight window. Everyone out there, just understand that accounts payable covers the entire company.
Yes.
So we're not just talking about corporate headquarters here. We're talking about every state, every contract that we're in, you're involved, and you still have a tight window.
Very small window.
Yeah. So that's a lot of pressure.
It is. They're pretty good at it, though.
They're pretty good at it.
They're good at it.
Oh, that's excellent.
And then there's the other piece.
The operating AP, and that group is in charge of all of the rent, your overhead expenses, your general expenses that you would expect within a company. It's completely separate from the provider piece. And same thing, very, very tight window. You might have 10 days before an invoice needs to be processed. They have to send those out through DocuSign or through Bill.com for approval and get that back and get the payment processed timely and accurately.
So in that case, and of course, I've been on the end where I'm sending in invoices. And why is it important on, say, a manager's end to make sure that they get information in a timely manner and accurately and go through the appropriate process? Because I'll say, I won't necessarily say I'm guilty, but I know that I want to make sure that I do things the right way.
Yeah, because just like with your household bills, if they're late, you can have a late fee, you can have interest accruing, and that affects the bottom line. So, the way that I like to perform my job is to say it's just like it's my money. Would I want to pay a late fee? No, I wouldn't. So we want to make sure that we get those documents signed, get them back timely to give AP time to process them, because you wouldn't want to pay a late fee, and I don't want the company to pay a late fee either.
Absolutely. Now, how many, for example, checks do you think AP disperses, and how many different vendors do you work with? I think about paychecks and I think about the number of employees because we have, well over 1,000, 1,100 employees here at Verida. And that's a large number of checks that have to go out to pay every employee, contractor, vendors, utility. So I'd just be curious to know how much of that is going on.
Yeah, there's thousands of payments that go out monthly, maybe even 10,000 payments a month. It's a lot. The provider AP is a lot heavier as far as number of payments that go out each month. And I issue about 1,200 to 1,500 Form 1099s at the end of the year, and that's just for provider payments.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And that's all done right here in Villa Rica at the corporate headquarters, and this team is making that happen. Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Let's just talk and switch gears a little bit. I'd like to talk about something that happened, and I've asked previous guests this question just because we're sort of on the other end of it, but the pandemic. When it happened, of course, it affected a lot of companies in the way they do business, the way they manage their processes, the way they communicate. How did the pandemic affect finance in the various departments?
Take that. Sure, Keith. The pandemic really had a big impact on us because the show must go on. The providers must get paid. Our clients are dependent on it. We're contractually obligated. And most importantly, our members need to have services. So we kept business going. We got all of our payments out on time and ensured that there was no interruption in services. But it was a little awkward. We had to come in shifts. Some of us came in after hours and worked. It was kind of nice. I could come in the evenings in shorts and a pair of Crocs, which was a nice benefit of the pandemic. But we had to get checks signed. We had to get payments released and such. But it created a different experience for us because we wanted to maintain the teamwork and the sense of camaraderie that we have always had in our department and divisions. So that set up an opportunity to create Zoom team meetings where we could have fun, voice concerns that we have, issues, and support one another because we miss seeing everyone in the department. And but it was a different environment, but we made it through.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. Well, we certainly appreciate your commitment and dedication for everything that you all did during that time. I think everyone kind of had to, it was all hands on deck. Awesome. And I think the company as a whole responded tremendously to that. So I think we're sort of getting, into our new normal and things are getting back on track. And with that said, let's talk a little bit about the personalities in the group. Can you highlight maybe some interesting interactions within the team? We talk about the department and what you do. That's cool, but let's get a little deeper and just talk about some of the personalities. Maybe some of you are infamous for within finance. I don't know. Share something with us.
Let's see. So the pandemic was kind of fun. I mean, it was different, but we made it work. Yeah. We were dipping and dodging to make sure that nobody came in contact with each other. But those Friday calls were fun. Like we'd turn the camera on, we'd have these conversations, we'd update everybody, and then we'd have our dad joke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Every Friday, we look forward to Gary's dad joke.
Oh, so, wow. Yeah. That's fantastic.
Started the weekend off.
Yeah.
I think we did some interesting things and claims as well. We hosted a 70s virtual party online with the group, and we had a lunch and learn with the group, and everybody showed up in their attire with their, 70s attire on, with the camera on, and we interact that way. We also did Thursday throwbacks. And we still do because claims still have a telecommuter team. So we definitely keep that team engaged with the on-site team. We do Thursday throwbacks where we do just It's partying virtually is what we call it. We do Dance Mood with emojis and things of that nature with GIFs. We play your favorite song or name that tune, and we do all of that virtually.
Oh, okay. Wait. Hold up just a minute. Why haven't I been invited? Yeah. Okay, and you're still doing them?
We still do them.
Can I be invited to a Thursday?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm going to be invited to a Thursday throwback.
Yes.
All right. Well, that sounds a lot of fun. And, I think that those are the creative things that, we have to do in the midst of, trials and challenges. And this one certainly tested everyone. But it's certainly cool to just find out behind the scenes what's goes on because, we see and hear of finance, but you guys are kind of cool. So we'll give you your cool props here. But that's great. That's great. So now the big question I'm sure for everyone is paychecks. How does payroll work? And maybe you could kind of walk us through that process and what goes on with it and how do people actually get paid?
Stephanie?
Sure. So as I'm sure everyone in the company knows or has heard the name Diane Curry, because she is all things payroll, and she is the reason why we receive our checks timely. But in the background of that, it's important for employees to clock in correctly and to the correct contract. It's important for the managers to timely approve the time cards, because there is a short window that Diane has to ensure everything is in correctly and everything is approved for her to be able to process payroll. And anytime that there's a correction to be made, that again is cost for the company, because sometimes ADP will charge for an out-of-cycle payroll if there's a correction that needs to be made. So with that short window that she has, it's important to get all of the time in accurately, correctly, and make sure that we all get paid on time. Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm. She does a great job.
Yeah, and it amazes me because, like you said, finance, almost you could say it has to run 24/7. It's around the clock. You're constantly going. You constantly have a short window to make things happen. But, unbeknownst to us, it happens, and that's fantastic. Yeah, thank you. Let's talk about, I've heard about I guess it's called the ERV system. ERP, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
The ERP system. Mm-hmm. And tell us a little bit about the ERP system and what it does.
So the ERP system that we use in accounting is Sage Intacct, and that houses all of our accounting data. It houses all of our invoices or bills that come in. It houses the payments. It houses our GL information, which is general ledger. It's what we use also for our reporting function, which we have financial statements for every contract, every state, and then consolidated up into one financial statement. It also houses our dashboard, which Gary uses quite often in the executive team meetings. And that's all I can think of. Gary?
No, it's a very, very important component of our business. Being able to deliver all the information that we have and all the data that we have and get it into the hands of the proper managers and leaders within the organization to make an informed decision and to have their line of business thrive and be successful and allow us to continue and grow as well. And this system puts that information easily into their hands so that they can make those decisions.
And we should add that Stephanie led the team at the beginning of the pandemic. She was still working through the implementation of this new software system. So it was pretty major.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we went live with the new system February 1st of 2020, and we all went home March 16th, 17th, something like that.
Oh, wow.
So, we did a lot of our training virtually. We did it via Zoom meetings, Teams meetings. So it was very interesting, but the group that we have is there's no one on the team that's not a team player. And I know there's probably a lot of managers that say that, but I truly mean it. We have an excellent team, and we just do what we have to do to get the job done. And it's been great. So
yeah, you have to. You have to. There's no other way.
Yes.
Yeah, and I would like to add, and I heard you mention the word SAGE. Can maybe you all share a little bit about a special award that Finance won recently?
Sure. So Gary and I attended the Sage Intact Conference in October, I believe, of last year. And we were surprised to find out that we had won the Healthcare Customer of the Year award. And Sage Intact has, I think it's somewhere around 18,000 customers. And we were presented with the Healthcare Customer of the Year award, which was quite shocking. So, but it was, it just goes, it was definitely a nice reward to receive for the team, because they put so much effort and time into ensuring the implementation went well, and ensuring that we have trustworthy information.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. That's certainly an honor for Verida. To know that you all were distinguished with that award. So congratulations to Finance for that. Let's talk a little bit about another department, program integrity. Maybe you can share maybe a little bit about program integrity and fraud, waste, and abuse. We've heard those words kind of placed around a little bit. Fraud, waste, and abuse, even when we're talking about URAC, it may talk a little bit about fraud, waste, and abuse when we're taking our annual testing. So share a little bit about that, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Program integrity is a big part of what we do. When we work with our clients, they want us to ensure that we are gatekeeping, we are providing oversight, and ensuring that the funds are used for the service that they expect and what we expect. So we have a department made up, I believe it's about 7 people make that department up. It's divided into 2 areas. There's an internal audit department function, and then there's the fraud, waste, and abuse component. Our clients require us to audit a certain number of claims. So we want to meet those obligations and report those independently to the clients, as well as other areas that don't require it. We implement our own standard and provide audits with those. The department works very closely with the claims department to ensure that the findings are what we expect, and if there's areas for improvement, we do that. The claims department has a very good success rate with that, which makes the auditing very easy to do, but a very critical component. And then with our fraud, waste, and abuse department, we have individuals who go out and look for areas where some providers may go in and look to mislead us through claims that get submitted for services that may not be rendered. We deal with upcoding and just ensure that we're paying for exactly the service that was rendered. We have an individual out in the field to do observations and interactions with the providers as well. And all of this is done just to ensure that we have the ongoing funds to pay the providers, because obviously we only hire the best providers to give good service, honest service, and we want to keep it that way. So we provide that service and that feedback to managers and leadership here at the organization.
Wow. Yeah, that's fantastic. There again, I can see where fraud, waste, and abuse is extremely important. And I assume and probably understand that it takes a lot of different departments and eyes to look for fraud, waste, and abuse to ensure that everything's done properly, whether it's a call center agent engaging with a provider or a dispatcher or whomever, making sure that everything's done properly and correct. And if there are some red flags, that they will reach out, I assume, to internal audit to possibly report.
Yeah, and those are good points. We do have ways for communication to take place that are independent from claims, from accounting, where people can notify anonymously and provide information through either private emails that we have here that go to our general counsel. Who gets those into internal audit. So if there are any improprieties that take place, we certainly want people to share those with the proper people and ensure that it's dealt with accurately and timely, and to keep people in line with our goals and expectations.
Fantastic. Well, let's talk maybe about a couple of final things as we prepare to wrap up. We've talked about finance overall, all the various departments from claims to AP, managing our paychecks, payroll, etc. Is there anything we're leaving out or anything else that you'd like to share in regards to finance or anything you'd like to share with our employees?
One other service, under the reporting side of it, is we provide actuarial services and analytics, where we take a deeper dive into the data that we have to push out recommendations, observations, and ways to improve our services and optimize the resources that we have. So that's another function that the organization does.
Fantastic.
We also have the public transportation group across each state. From the finance perspective, they manage the inventory, issuing the passes to the members once they've been assigned to them by the call center. So that's a group of ours too, to try and work with that group and work on the utilization of public transportation, which is a benefit, obviously, for a lot of members in all of our areas. And then Lakeisha has another group that she did, and she manages. She has a lot. She has the mailroom, and they manage all of the documents coming into the company, and they manage the electronic process. You can expand.
So the mail team, and they manage all the claims and all the mail that comes into the corporate office, but they also make sure that they allocate the claims to our telecommuter team, as well as the team on site, and they have a very tight time frame to get those allocated, so the mailroom do reports to the claims team.
And I guess you probably get a flood of mail in terms of claims.
We do. We get a flood of mail. I think in 2022, we have different ways that we can receive claims, but last year we processed about 5.2 million claims. So that's just the workload and the productivity that we have. And also we have to make sure that we maintain a 99% quality rate. So that's big. Wow. And we all play a part in it.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to our mailroom.
Yes.
Indeed. Well, thank you all. I appreciate it. And thank you for all the information and education that you've shared in regards to finance. We hope that you, as our watching and listening audience, have received a few nuggets of information that you can take back with you. I think the key is understanding that every department that we work with has an important role to continue to make Verida a success in this industry. And that's the one thing that we want to continue to do. We want to be our best, and we want to continue to ensure that everyone has a place where they can excel and do great things within the company. It sounds like in finance, you all are doing that. I'm not going to forget about Throwback Thursday. But thank you all for joining us, and we're going to get ready to wrap up. Continue to tune in and watch, and we'd like to say goodbye for now. See you next time.